Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to our next session of Last Voyage of the Whale's Whiskers. I am so excited to have you all joining us this evening. If this is your first time joining the channel, we do run it 100% for charity, supporting Satchel's Last Resort, which is an incredible rescue organization here in Central Florida, where, in fact, Lunar, my pup, came from. So if you want to donate, just go down below and click on the donate buttons, and we will your donations will go directly to them. We are going to go around real quick and meet our cast. We're going to start off with Puma.
Hi, hello, yes, I am Puma. I play Kato, the life cleric, and a lovely anxious Brassy.
Very, very good. Next up, we will go to Bird.
Hey folks, I'm Bird vs. Play, and I'll be playing Baldir the Wanderer, our Loxodon Storm Sorcerer.
Next up, we have Meta.
Hi, I'm Metazilla. I will be playing as I almost forgot her name. Queda, the Eldritch Knight Fighter.
Next up, we have Grant.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Grant, and I play Howron, our Circle of Stars Drow Druid.
And next up, we have Ace.
Hi, I'm Ace. For the moment, I play Duran. He's the warlock who might be in trouble.
We will come back around to our buddy Soul. He, I think it was chatting with his partner. I am Tall Squall. I'm the DM for this crazy crew, and super excited to have all of you all along for this ride. As I said, I just realized that my shirt blends in with my green screen, so I'm kind of world mappy here. But super excited to have all of you all here and welcome you to the world of Valknor and the Last Voyage of the Whale's Whiskers. If you saw on Twitter, we have been greenlit for a second season on this, so our story will extend. These, especially after last session, I think everyone got a feeling for just how broad and deep not only the story is, but these characters are. So I think without further ado, I'll get us recapped, and when Soul's able to join us, he's back. I'll let him introduce himself. Soul!
Perfect time.
Hey, my name is Soul. I go by Soul's Rolls online pretty much everywhere. I am playing Otrek, our Lizard Folk Artificer.
So, at the end of our last session, we had our ship, the Whale's Whiskers, captained by Biriana Brightbangs, make its triumphant landing after crossing over the mountains out of Port Saradan, carried by a gigantic primordial dragon that she apparently made some sort of bargain with. Carried them, sort of portaged them across the map, and dropped them in the Cerulean Sea, this unexplored territory that's never been sailed by Dwarven kind or really any of sort of the civilized, the society that has formed around the Saradan Sea. It was quite a journey. They, along the way, battled with some storm-flavored creatures, discovered some treasure along with this belt that has been sort of haunting our good friend Queda, and now other haunting visions and dreams have been entering into the rest of our warlock, who for the last 100 years has been feeling called by their patron to this area, and now has suddenly arrived. We just landed on a bright, beautiful morning, flying in over the white limestone cliffs to land in the incredibly deep blue Cerulean Sea. And that is where we are going to pick up with our crew as they are once again at sail. Someplace that is very much at home for some, certainly more so than flying through the air underneath of Dragon. The morning is beautiful. The sails billowing out of this big three-master ship with an extra sort of junk sail in the front as they sail northward. In fact, we'll move over so that folks can sort of get an idea of where we are on our map. As they have just landed, the whale on the screen is where they are, and the little Indiana Jones dots are the path that they took to arrive here. They are sailing northward, this golden cone being a search area for this mysterious sky shard that has been told of in vision, and sort of the whole reason for this incredible journey. Biriana wanting to somehow try to follow legend and lore and traverse the plains themselves through a rift that she found out about from her good friend Baldir. But this morning, some of those concerns are far away. You have landed, you are back at sea, the rocking motion of the ship, the sea, sails, billowing, gulls, familiar but not exactly the same as the Ceridans, flying overhead, animals surrounding the ship, some curious, some just following in the wake of a large animal to them on the move through these seas. So, after a bit of a deep breath from everyone, the rest of the crew as well, who are up on deck, having just come through this landing and being dropped off by the primordial dragon Jin Sarat, you sort of have that moment, almost like when you get off a roller coaster, of what a rush, what a ride, but it's kind of nice to be back in familiar territory. And you have that sort of hit you, and then also the enormity of being on a sea that has really never been sailed by anyone from Limehold or beyond before. And while there's this familiarity of being sailing again, there's also sort of this newness of a place that is new and different, and though similar, not the same as all of the familiar scenery and landscape, the sea, the air, even just the atmosphere that fills you is of the unknown, of new territory, of exploration. So we're going to sort of look to our characters for these first couple of hours as this excitement sort of hits them as they tack the ship, the Whale's Whiskers, northward. For these first couple hours, sort of a montage of how your characters are doing in these first moments of the excitement, the newness of it all. Some of the troubles of the past. We'll address the belt and some other pressing matters as we kind of get over this first landing here on the Cerulean Sea. I'm going to turn first to Cato, as even as you flew over the highlands and over the cliffs, dozens upon dozens of new creatures. The land animals that ran out from underneath the shadow of this dragon and the ship coming into land, and then these animals within the sea. Just the abundance of sea life here. While the Ceridan is certainly full of its own, but these are new. And there is that untouched primal sea about this. So give me a little insight into Cato and what he's up to.
Cato has never been comfortable on the sea, but given the comparison between being on the water and being in the air, Cato feels a little bit better. He's actually not hurling over the side. His stomach's kind of settled already, so he's taken to grabbing a notebook, and he's fervently scribbling notes, maybe the faintest outlines, just things he's never seen before, trying to get as much information as possible while the area around them is still teeming with life.
So, I mean, the first thing that you take notice of are some of the gulls and seabirds that find themselves quickly around the masts and using the forward momentum of the ship to sort of ride the bow wake, both in the air and as you look up down in the sea. You see not unlike the dolphins that you've experienced in the Ceradan Sea, but these are a bit different in structure. The biggest thing that you notice is they seem to have almost a hammerhead type shape, more like a spade, I would say, than necessarily a hammerhead shark, more like a spade type shape to their heads, and very diminished dorsal fins compared to other creatures of the like that you've seen before.
I'll absolutely take note of that, and even so much as chance a couple of steps like against the railing. He's kind of leaning over at this point, not even realizing what he's doing. He's just writing and scribbling as best he can. He's kind of turned into Queta for a second, where he's kind of just so completely focused that he's not really paying attention to anything else around him.
And as you were doing that, roll me a dexterity saving throw.
That's what I was afraid of. Dexterity saving throw.
Yep.
Okay.
On 11, that's enough. But you are startled as running up beside you and all looking like they're going to leap over the edge comes Fitz. Did you see that? Look at that one! What is that? Do you know what that one is? What about that one up there? How about that over there?
A stone, Fitz! You about scared the life out of me.
Oh, sorry, but... And you literally, on the other side of the rail, holding on with one hand, leaning out over the water, trying to look down at the bow at whatever creature is up there that is riding the bow wake. Did you see this one? You gotta lean out further. He's okay. He grabs back on, but he's not the most dexterous of people. His excitement.
Do be careful. I'm afraid it's probably still a little too slippery for me to lean out that far. Perhaps you should lean from this side. It's a bit safer.
Well, if you think so. Okay. And Fitz then just starts running around. You do see close by, the first officer, our flying dog friend, is sort of seems to be keeping an eye out, sort of on lifeguard duty of our overexcited young friend, as Ollie sort of swings around and seems to be keeping a little extra watchful eye, almost like again the lifeguard at the kiddie pool, as Fitz goes charging around.
Nice. Kato will sit there and try to decipher some of the stuff with them. Yes, well, I believe this one has a spade-shaped head because of this, and these small dorsal fins would probably hint at, and just kind of trying to give him some more information while he's making sense of it himself.
Gotcha. Let's move next over to Baldir.
So, Baldir, I think once they hit the water and really focus on setting sail, we'll head towards the bow of the ship. And I think he'll lose himself in a bit of thought there at the very front of the ship. His hands clasp, I think, pretty tightly against the wooden railings. And, being that he's wearing these long, draping, flowing clothes and his bowler, you can see these, long shreds of cloth and scarves all blowing in this wind as the ship is propelling itself forward. And he probably looks like he's very excited, very intently passionate about where they're heading and where they're moving forward. But if anyone actually got close enough to kind of look and truly see the the look on his face, it's almost a bit, I don't want to say haunted. That sounds a little too intense, but it's not that usual 1,000 gold smile he has on his face. It is a little bit of a heavier examination of what's going on. 2 reasons. He's still very much dwelling on the notes of the song that Duran played. It's been in his brain ever since. It's truly the most he's ever felt himself represented in this world without having to put on a show or a brave or smiling face. And it's really stuck with him. And it's really stuck with him because now he is back in these waters where he was lost and essentially abandoned for some time. It's been so long since this happened. He was stuck on these waters for so long. So long. And so I think he is a little lost in this moment, trying to decide if he feels this excitement, this passion to get where they're going, or it's almost kind of this tepid intimidation of this dude is built to wander and roam and see new things, and now he's about to return somewhere. It's just a really weird thought in his head. And he battles with it.
And I think you've looked at the map, so this is pretty much the closest you've come to these waters since you were lost for 6-9 months at sea. And you know that sort of just out, sort of beyond this sea, is that vast ocean that you on your small raft with the tiny mast of your ship, after being marooned, that was your existence. And there weren't many days that you didn't wonder if that day might be your last day. The exhaustion of having to use your draw upon your sorceress storm blood and origin to just survive, to have water, to have food, that you almost can't help but have that taste of raw fish that was your diet for so long that you pretty much refused to eat now. As you traveled far further than even where the whale's whiskers is, as you traveled all the way from the furthest south regions all the way up to the Dreaming Bowels before you finally landed. Take us back to that morning off the coast of the Dreaming Bowels, when, so similar to the shining scales of Jin Surat, you finally saw those metallic, shimmering leaves of the shimmering grove that drew you to your eventual rescue.
Whatever power, whatever divine force, whatever mysterious magics that now inhabit Baldur, it was something about coming to this world that woke them up in him. But even being lost at sea for that long, and it being a fairly smooth journey, which was very strange to him, considering he got lost in a pretty vicious storm, even with it being very weird that kind of wherever he was hoping to go, the winds would shift that way, even with it being kind of a little bit out there, that if he did see one of those fish, and he started to will it towards him, the waves would turn in such a way to bring it closer. It was never truly apparent that that's what was going on with him. But seeing finally that finish line, that safety and security land, I mean, it's a very small, broken piece of wood, barely held together in this dinky little raft he was on. And Baldur, stood up with all his might, could feel this thing just shift back and forth. And that's the moment he knew there was something more, something special going on, because at that moment, letting out a triumphant blow from his trunk, he could feel the force of the wind shift mightily behind him and propel him that final stretch. And so he's back in the waters at this moment, going the opposite way of where he truly became Baldir the Wanderer, Storm Sorcerer. And it's at this crux. He wants to find something new, and it's going to have to take completely saying goodbye to what he knows. And much like Baldir, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. How about Queda? As we leave Baldir up on the bow, where's Queda?
Queda would be helping to operate the ship, keep her steady, maybe not slow, but definitely steady on the shores, because getting dropped from basically like an airlift would obviously cause quite a rough landing. So this is kind of her domain. She's operating the mechanisms of the boat.
Yep.
So she understands how to properly operate everything. She understands how to keep it in control. So she is keeping that information at the front of her mind and keeping an eye on, the angle of that sail over there so that they can turn in just the way it needs to be to catch the wind. She is also keeping tabs on a few other things. She's thinking about, okay, that's the position of that sail. Where am I on this boat? I am here at the controls, making sure it's turning just right, pulling on these ropes just the way I need them to be. Where is the belt? It is somewhere down below, possibly still in Otrek's lab. Where is the lifeboat I stowed away? I put it in a very secure place, close to Viriano, of course, but easily accessible for when all of us, if, and hopefully just if, all of us need an emergency escape. Where is my swan boat token? It's back in my room. I kind of wish, she said she would think, fiddling around in her pocket and feeling kind of empty, realizing she didn't slip it into her pocket like she usually does. I do wish I had pulled it out, just for comfort if nothing else, but I at least know where it is, in such a case that I would need to make an escape. How quickly could I get there without anyone noticing? If need be, I suppose it wouldn't be that tough if we were on a straight way. The coastline. Are we that far from the coastline? I assume we're...
No, you're pretty close. I mean, certainly it's still within view. In fact, you can see sort of these white cliffs. I mean, it's very rocky. I mean, it would be... you might have to travel a little before you could find some place where you could put ashore. But yeah, that Queda's normal litany of where's the escape route? Where, if I need to pull the ripcord, where's my escape route that you've lived your last century with? She would be able to kind of be tracking all those pieces even while performing these sort of normal duties. But yeah, never far from your mind. Belt, lifeboat, swan boat. Where's my exit?
Yeah. So she's keeping all that in mind. She's thinking about how quickly she could get through unnoticed. And she thinks on a straight way, perhaps she could probably get through no problem. And she's certain there's more than enough people that they could figure out how to operate this boat in my place. How many people would she need to say goodbye to? If she were lucky, probably none of them at all. But how many of them would she want to say goodbye to? And controlling the boat, because she helped build so much of it, this is basically second nature to Queta.
Mm-hmm.
So she can keep tossing this question over and over in her head as she's like holding on, and almost like it's second nature, keeping the boat on a steady course, catching the wind at the most optimal angle. Who would I want to say goodbye to on the ship? How long would I want it to be? Could I say it, and could I pull myself away if need be?
Okay. Let's move on to Halran.
So, upon landing, Halran, I think, would assume his customary post in the crow's nest, both to take in the sights and to do some rudimentary navigating, make sure there's no coral reef coming up, nothing that nobody but perhaps Baldir, has seen before that could pose an issue to this ship. But once he was satisfied, and especially with the water being so clear, this would be relatively easy to discern. Once he was satisfied that they could travel straight for a while without running into any problems right away, I think Halran would probably, in a similar sense to Cato, take an interest in the new wildlife. So after spending that time up top, he comes down to the front of the ship, looks at all these creatures that are investigating it, and climbs up onto the railing of the ship and leaps in, transforming into a large dolphin wild shape that he has acquired over these decades of sailing.
Absolutely.
So that he can really get a good look into everything.
So yeah, not a problem. You dive over and begin to swim these waters, sort of a fish of a different color, a bird of a different stripe, here among them. But do me an investigation check. Let's see what you see. Woo, look at that on a natural 20. So, you certainly notice the things that Cato noticed. You see the sort of spade-headed dolphin mammalian creatures as they sort of run along the bow wake of the ship. And as you're sort of leaping and sort of following along with them in a more porpoise sort of type shape, those instinctual senses sort of kick in to this porpoise form that you have, and you drop back a little bit, and you see underneath the boat, coasting exactly on pace with it, a very large predatory fish, like a shark, but it's more like a giant barracuda type idea that is pacing along. And with your natural 20, by next session I'll have you a wild shape form for a giant barracuda.
Awesome. It's not large enough to pose a threat to the ship, right? Rather,
no,
people
I mean
that might fall overboard.
it's only it would be of a large size.
Okay, cool.
So, but it's all but a third, like a barracuda is. It's all but a third mouth. It is one of that type of creature. Obviously predatory, sort of big jagged teeth. It has this really bright neon green stripe that runs down the side of it, which is unique. You've not seen anything quite like that and can't quite put together necessarily what that stripe, what evolutionary piece would have brought that stripe in, other than it kind of is a cool racing stripe.
That's fun, and certainly something to avoid while I'm a dolphin. It's probably snack for somebody this size.
Yeah, I mean, you're comparable size as the dolphin, so probably not an immediate danger, but you wouldn't want to tangle with it. It's definitely got more offensive capability than a porpoise or dolphin would have.
Yeah, that tracks. So Halron, then, having taken in this interesting sight and filed it away to potentially use himself later, he'll swim out ahead of the boat and just do some rudimentary scouting, again looking for big reefs, others, anything that he has never run across before that could present a challenge, things of that nature.
So in your sort of navigation up above, your sort of rudimentary things, just so we can go over this a little bit as a group as well. You know that it took about 4 days, for you to leave for Port Saradin to then land on the other side. You also were going about 4 times as fast as the ship is able to sail as you were flying. Just quick sort of use of your navigator's tools. Even a straight line sailing right down the center of this sort of search cone that the party has chosen, that's a good month and a half of sailing time. This is a big sea. So at some point you just sort of file away that there will sort of need to be a discussion about, time, distance, search pattern. Being underwater, you also, realize, you're in sort of the shallows, but it's still a good 150 feet deep. But over there to your west, you can see where it sort of, this drops off into a very, very, very deep sea. And in fact, even underneath of you, as you just sort of, are tacking somewhat way out from shore just to get out to deeper water and to avoid reefs or anything that might be hitting. You don't want to hit a shoal. It's, from the time you jump in, it's probably 150 feet deep to, by the time you look at this barcode, look around, you are in 300, 400, 500, 700 foot. It's quickly getting incredibly deep, and that sort of very deep cerulean blue color that comes with it.
Well, I suspect that would be cause for Halron to spend perhaps a little more time than necessary to just survey the path in the water, enjoying himself really in the new environs. But once after those couple hours have passed, he starts to make his way back. When I come back over the edge, I think I'll actually look for Duran to talk to him about some navigation stuff.
Great. Let's join Duran. As a couple things as you first
Oh, great.
as you first land. It's similar to that sleepless night that you had, except different, because the moment this boat hits the water, it is like you're being plugged into an electrical circuit, a live wire, as that fog and cloudiness that had sort of filled sort of your magical senses is just blown away as though by a tidal wave, and this sort of electricity fills your whole being. But it's like drinking from a fire hose. It is all but drowning you, burning you up. In fact, drowning you is probably the better sense, because that's something's never been a fear of Duran's, but it's almost like you're choking on the magic and can't quite catch your breath as this connection to this sea is made.
Yeah. Honestly, Duran's first instinct is run up to the bow of the ship. Maybe not run, but quickly make his way up to the bow of the ship, look over, and then leap off and dive into the ocean.
Yes.
And just take a moment to sort of draw in and kind of get a handle on this newfound, like, I mean, it's always been like a really distant connection, and now it's like, I mean, it is drowning almost, in a sense, and just kind of almost like he's just gonna dive down maybe like 20 feet below the surface and just float for a little while. His eyes are like closed. I imagine his cloak is kind of like billowing behind him, and he's just gonna sit there and close his eyes and sort of let it all wash over him.
And it does, but it is not the peaceful solace that you've often found in the sea. There is an uneasiness. The depths have never bothered you, but there is this rising feeling from below that just fills you with something unfamiliar, I would think, to Duron. Feeling very exposed, very vulnerable. And as you look down, so accustomed to being able to see perfectly, you see darkness pushing its way from below, coming up towards you. A malevolence, a hungry darkness. This deep blue, drowning fear. Roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Here it is.
Please don't kill me.
F. Big F
Oh,
in chat.
yeah. 19.
Okay. On a 19.
Is that
You
a
are
success, by the way?
You are not completely overwhelmed with panic. The panic, there is a brief moment. And I think it's the disgust that knocks you out of it. Because you've watched people drown before. You've watched them lash around in panic in the water that is your home. Whether you rescue them or not is immaterial, but you've seen that weakness, and it utterly filled you for a moment. That same panic until, like I said, I think, unless you want to flavor it differently, the disgust of feeling that within yourself pulled you out of that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, he would, definitely. He's like, that would be like this is not me. And overcoming that fear would probably dive towards that darkness.
Okay. You go swimming down into the darkness. Roll me a perception check.
Oh, great. Oh, that's a 2.
You don't see it. But as you dive deeper, many eyes of many different creatures watch and lurk and take note of Duron's passing as you swim into the darkness. I think we'll leave you there in the dark.
Yeah.
Hey, Otrek, how you doing?
I'm doing better than Duron. We can definitely agree on that much, I think. I will definitely be with Scott on the ship, or more aptly, around the ship. So as we reach sea level, I'm going to be very jubilant about not being in the sky. You can watch everyone kind of loosen up a little bit, but Otrek is a marine reptile. This is definitely where he belongs. He will take several of his signature slapping steps towards the railing and throw himself bodily off of it. Not gracefully by any means.
Let's all take a swim.
This is a giant sausage throwing itself at the ocean for the world's biggest belly flop.
Sploosh.
Just hits and begins sinking a little bit before swimming over to the side of the ship and clinging on. Shortly followed, of course, by Scut. And we will be looking at the bottom of the ship for repairs, because there is no way I was doing that in the air. No, sir.
Yep. So do me a investigation check.
Do I have that? Oh, no. I might have it. 13.
Out of 13. I mean, the big... you certainly see below some of that rigging that had been hit by the different cone attacks, sort of scarring on the ship. It seems to be mainly superficial. Minor repairs to sort of take care of some of that things. But, because I used to love watching all of the Galapagos Island things, I very much see you sort of right there at the waterline, clinging to the side, and as we would watch the waves wash over these marine iguanas there in the Galapagos. That is the vision as you are sort of crawling and inspecting sort of the waterline in there. On a 13, I don't think you notice the barracuda, but it notices you. It's sort of got an eye on lizard sausage, maybe for dinner. And anything else you'd like to do as you are wandering about?
Well, it's just going to be me and Scott down there working on things.
Okay. So the first few hours pass. We're going to, for the sake of story, say that... actually, we're not going to say that for the sake of the story. Let's go back, because Duran's diving down. The ship's moving forward. Let's see if he... Let's join Duran diving into the depths. The sea above you. The ship sailing forward. You, in defiance, swimming down. You have a very quick swim speed. You've caught up with a ship before, but there's still time, distance, and obstacles that might get in your way.
I think Duran is very confident that he can catch up to any ship in the water. And whatever else that happens, this must be resolved first for him.
Okay.
And is at this point, is it like darkness all around him, all encompassing? Can he see the boat even?
As you get deeper, I mean, because I believe you've got, 90 feet?
80
per
round.
Yeah, 80,
I could go
80 to 90
faster
feet.
if I really want to.
But I'm saying your vision.
Oh, no, my vision's 120.
So yeah, but I mean, if you're diving down, so I mean, let's face it, in 12 seconds, in less than a minute, you would be even out of visual range of the ship as you go deeper and deeper into this darkness. So quickly, you find yourself sort of in the sphere of your vision. It seems tighter than it should be, but in this unfamiliar space, you don't know if it's just an optical illusion. You are surrounded in the deep blue abyss. The last traces of light are just barely shimmering their way down to this depth as you are still swimming downward.
Once I get to the point where I'm like basically encompassed in the darkness, I would stop, take a moment to look around, and then just speak out into the open. Why am I here? What purpose did I come for?
Roll me an insight check.
That's not any better than my perception. Oh, that's not bad, but I'm going to use my little thingy and make it a little better to get that all the way up to a 20. Dirty 20.
On a dirty 20, you don't get an answer. However, you taste blood in your mouth.
Okay. No response.
Well, I should say
Then-
your answer is the taste of blood.
Yeah,
flooding
right.
Your mouth.
Exactly. At this point, I guess, having gotten his answer, Duran would make his way for the surface. He would, just exhale a little bit so that he knows which way is up.
Yep.
And head back to the surface to catch up with the ship.
You know which way it was going. You, also being a
Yeah.
navigator, are able to find your way back. But you do get your way back. Do you reboard or do you stay pacing in the water?
I think he would reboard the ship.
Okay.
And then beeline for Bariana.
Okay. We will join up with that in a moment, as it's taken some time for that to all transpire. Otrek, you have finished what repairs you were doing, Meta as well. And as we sort of move forward, lunch begins to gnaw at you, whether you take lunch immediately or decide to keep working. We get into the afternoon, and both of you look around, and having sort of lost yourself in your activities, certainly to Queta, I think to Otrek as well, the belt begins to gnaw at your minds, as your spell has still been churning away to try to
Okay.
identify it.
I do not like having my mind gnawed on. Normally I'm the one that gnaws on other things. We're going to go address the belt problem then. We're going to scamper out of the water, claw our way back over the gunwales, drag our sodden body across the deck, probably to the much irritation of everyone, shake off wherever I can, and make sure that I oil the harness later, and head below decks.
Okay. Do you gather anyone other than Queta? I think Queta all but, I would think, sort of meets you at the rail as that has come to the front, or was never far from the front of her mind.
Actually, yeah. After the scathing scolding that I've received in the past from our Bronzy of safety, I don't want him to go all OSHA on me post facto. So we're gonna try and find Kato.
Kato easy enough to find as he is out on deck checking things out.
All right.
So you all head down to the lab. As soon as you step in, Queda, the ship, the Cerulean Sea, the travels, everything just fades away. It is this room. It is the belt. Even the whirligigs of this identify spell as it churns away doesn't hold that same sort of whimsy as it did before, as this belt and its just presence, that buckle, those eyes, the helmet, seem to immediately concentrate on you.
Queda would probably be maybe clutching at her chest or kind of holding herself to stop herself from shivering as she walks into the room and kind of mutters to both Kato and Otrek. I can feel it. It's calling out to me again.
Otrek will definitely turn his beady eyes towards Queda, and then turn them to the belt, and then back again. Just now?
I've been thinking about it for a while. Not really, in the same way as before, but just keeping tabs on where everything is, when something like that happens to you, it's hard not to keep it away from your mind. But now I can feel it. It's asking for me again.
Yes, I have also been thinking about this belt. While I was doing repairs, it was very much on my mind. I believe it is time for us to dredge the secrets from this belt, and then, if it doesn't give us the answers we like, we can dredge the sea with it.
Perhaps we should tie something very heavy to it, so at that point, no one will ever have to mess with it again. It'll just sink.
I don't know if it's that simple, Queda says, thinking back to it kind of shifting positions all around her room.
Tossing it off the deck and not going through the window. It's recoiling back to you like a boomerang. Yeah, that would creep me out too. All right, so is there anything that I have to roll to provoke or prognosticate this belt?
You've got your Arcana check, and since you have anything special you're doing, you do have Queda there, so I will give you advantage as we see how much further along this identify spell churns its way through.
Above table, correct me if I'm wrong, but Kuma, does Kato have guidance? That's a spell, right?
I do have guidance. I just don't think I have it prepped.
Is it a cantrip?
Cantrip, yeah.
Let me check.
Then it should be non-stop, rock the clock.
Taking a peek. If it's a cantrip,
Mm-hmm.
then I can do it. Let's see. I don't actually see a kitty, excuse me. Alright, found it.
Right on.
Yes, would you like some guidance?
I will always come to Kato for guidance, because when I do not, things tend to catch on fire. I'm found underneath desks. It's bad news. And I've been reminded of this recently, that I should go to my friend Kato for a reasonable amount of stabilization. So yeah, we're definitely going to ask Kato for some guidance.
Forget, is that
Kato,
advantage or is that a +4?
it's a
That
D4,
is a
I think.
D4.
D4, great. Okay, go ahead.
Alrighty, let's go.
Well, you can go ask Kato if you. Sorry, I interrupted your RP.
Nah, we can just go to the dice and throw that one. And
Ooh, look at that.
Wow.
one of those is a D4. So, well, never mind. They were both 4, so throw that on there
Nice.
too.
So 34
Jeez.
added to the 48 from last time. Golly, math and things.
82.
82. So whatever it is, maybe it was clearing your mind with the work. Maybe it was same with Queta coming in. As you check in on your spell, the bips and bobs around you begin to shudder and shimmer again. The mirrors moving, the candlelight changing, and as you delve back into this identification spell, there's an ozone that almost fills the air, and you see these pieces of folderite that were once part of this sculpture begin to glow, begin to fill with plasma again, like they did when the sculpture was whole.
Uh-oh.
And begin to strobe and flash like lightning of an approaching storm. Around the ship, you can hear this muffled thunder from below decks. And as the lightning flashes in the room, Queta, you see standing across from you, across the room, that plate-armored, black, shadowy figure. Sword drawn. Lights up, sort of surrounds them. First just standing. Next time, hand on the scabbard of their sword. On the third time, Otrek, you see it. This dark figure in your lab.
Yeah, hold up. Give me a second. I had something for this. I think it's called Conjure Barrage. If I see a shadowy, dark armored figure, how smart am I? I'm pretty smart. But Scott wouldn't be down here, so never mind. Yeah, about that.
Kuma, you see, Kato sees it as well. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, no, Kato would probably, whoever he's next to, I would assume he'd be, having given Otrek the guidance, would just quickly flip behind Otrek and like peek over his shoulders.
Okay.
I feel like I want to roll initiative and smite this. If it's smiteable. Even if it's not smiteable, I want to try and smite it.
Okay. Go ahead and make me an attack.
Cool. Let me go. Where did I put my card? Shoot. There it is.
The figure's outlined again. Hand on sword, beginning to draw it.
Yeah. I'm doing my best, guys.
On a 13, you throwing hammer, or are you hitting it melee?
That's a warhammer, and I'm smashing the heck out of it.
Yeah, it passes completely through, and you smash. On a 13, you smash into one of your laboratory desks. But as you get close to it, you now see these glowing eyes. And as your weapon passes through it, you feel this Otrek's pretty laid back. but there is this upwelling of judgment in you, of having been an outsider, having been sort of an outcast, both back in the Drakovarian jungles and as you came, every time almost echoing in your head, people who called you a dragonborn or diseased. That feeling of wanting to dole out some kind of retribution and judgment to those people just fills you. Roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. Oh, lordy. That's a nat one.
Yeah, I see that. I was like, literally in my head, I was like, all you have to do is not roll a nat one.
Is Queta able to see that like flicker of anger going across?
Oh, for sure,
Otrex's
because there's a familiarity to what you're seeing as it rolls across Otrek. Puma, you also feel as you look over the shoulders them tensing, and this anger that, I don't know, help me, Sol, tell me a little bit about what this looks like. Is it some of that primal, not knowing who's food, who you bite, who you don't? How is this manifesting in this feeling of sort of retribution against the wrongs that have been
all right
heaped upon you over your life?
Yeah, so I don't know that many people outside of maybe Cato would have seen this side of Otrek. Cato's been by Otrek's side for a while. Otrek's got these beady kind of reptilian eyes. They would actually roll back and just show white. And I'm just going to lean into this. I took my action, but I've still got a bonus action, and I can bite someone as a bonus action. Who's closest?
Probably Cato.
It's probably Cato.
Yeah, I'm just going to snap back and bite the closest thing to me.
If possible,
That's fine.
if possible, would Queta be able to try and throw a net over Otrek first?
I think because literally Cato is right there holding on to him. You could throw a net over both of them, but I'm not sure if it would enter. If you're trying to stop this attack, I don't think it's going to help with the bite. It could contain Otrek beyond this.
Also, this is happening still on my turn because it is a bonus action.
Yeah.
Wait, but you're wild as shit. Do you have that as a reaction?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I don't think you'd be able to interrupt this unless you had something as a Eldritch Knight to be able to have a...
Of course.
Intervene.
Of course.
Yeah.
I love you, Kuma.
Describe
What
this...
What do we do on a meat on the AC?
I'm sorry?
Oh.
What do we do
right.
with a meat on the AC?
Oh, on a meat, it hits.
Okay, cool.
Just
Making sure.
barely. Just barely.
So, describe this, Otrek. Is it that you... do you grab her arm and bite it? Are you going full predatory, going for face, neck?
How tall is Cato?
Probably...
I was going to say, Safety
Maybe
Dragon, of course, has a high AC.
Safety Dragon has a very high AC. Safety Dragon doesn't want to get hurt. Probably 6'4". He's pretty short for a Dragonborn.
Okay, so Otrek's not much shorter than you. I mean, lizard folk are pretty tall to begin with, and I envision Otrek to be just a stout sausage. So, smash hammer down, hits the table. This overwhelming, rage and indignation washes over Otrek. The eyes roll back in his head, and just in this completely animalian reaction, whips around probably faster than anyone's seen him move ever, other than maybe Kato, and just goes, see, Kato would be back, probably gets a hand.
Okay.
Like just something that's out in front of him that looks like food. Yeah, that'd be a hand, man.
So these teeth go crunching down sort of on your forearm, Kato, and as soon as they sort of crunch in through the dragon scales, just barely, but still piercing. Piercing is a wonderful thing to break through high armor. That emotion, just as quick as it came, just drops out of you, Otrek, as you have Kato's arm in your mouth, the taste of blood on your lips.
I'm definitely going to let go of the arm. I do have some temporary bonus HP right now, so if this goes badly, I've got a little bit of an edge. Yeah. Otrek's just going to be stunned. He sees himself as a very civilized being. He sees himself very elevated and in control. He admires and respects knowledge and learning and discipline. He knows what he is at heart is just a swamp predator, but he really tries to not be that. This would be devastating, especially to attack Kato like that. I don't know that he would have words or anything else. He'd just be in shock. He'd just let go and just stand there staring at what he just did.
I think Queta would have a net prepared as she was watching it happen. And then after I think Otrek lets go of Kato, she rushes over to put herself between Kato and Otrek and make sure that Kato is all right. She would look over the arm and say, "Are you hurt?"
No, it just stings. It's all right. And he's going to put a hand on Queta's shoulder to kind of just gently move her so he can get to Otrek. And having worked with various animals, while Otrek is not an animal, he's definitely seen a defense mechanism. He's seen a fear response. So he absolutely knows that whatever just happened between the two of them wasn't anything that Otrek seemed to have control over. And as his friend before him, probably the closest one outside of Biriana that he has on these planks of this boat, he's going to reach out and just pull Otrek into a hug. And then he's going to turn so that his back is to the creepy monstrosity that's behind them, so Otrek in his stunnedness doesn't get shanked, in his vulnerable state.
Yeah, no, around you, after this moment unfolds, there's this last of lightning, and then that sort of phenomenon fades, and the spell keeps churning forward. But there is some insight to be gained after we finish this scene.
Queta would still have her net up and ready on guard in case the specter came back, but she would maybe just inch forward where are they still in the room?
Yep.
Or have they disappeared?
They're all everyone's just sort of in the room. There was just this weird sort of strobe lightning storm, almost crazy otherworldly scene unfold of Otrek lunging for this dark figure and then swinging on Kato and biting him, and then it was like just normal. It was back to everything was back to the spell churning away.
All right. I think Queta would kind of look over the spot where the phantom stood. I guess I can make an investigation check for that.
Sure.
Yikes.
Yep. Nothing.
All right.
It's a rough night, guys.
So after that, I think she would stow away her net and just try and gently start leading Otrek and Kato out of the lab for the moment, just so they can all decompress.
Oh, I'm not leaving that belt alone.
Let's check
Otrek has a grudge now.
Kato will probably step out. He's going to put on a brave front in front of the two of them as best he can. But as soon as he like exits the room, now that this is over, this was a little too much for him. He's going to exit the room. The door's going to close behind him, and he's just kind of going to lean against it. His shoulders are going to slump, and he's just going to turn and go to his room, his quarters, and close the door.
Yep, and certainly your surgical. You could do whatever you'd want to do to treat your wounds. Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Otrek.
Yeah.
This belt just bit your best friend.
Oh no, I bit my best friend because I wasn't cautious enough around the belt. The belt's getting the treatment. So I've got a grudge now, and we're gonna take care of that belt. Step 1. We're gonna get the small keg of gunpowder that I have, we're gonna put it on the table.
Okay. Do I need to get out the tango, or is this more serious?
Oh, no, this is more serious than the tango.
Okay.
2, we're going to buckle the belt around the keg of gunpowder.
Okay.
3, we are going to start casting... Yes? Feel free to interrupt at any time.
No. Queta is just watching that happen and seeing that it's a gunpowder keg. She's going to actually ask, Otrek, I understand that what just happened was absolutely awful, but I don't think we can resort to something as drastic as that. She thinks we're about to blow up the ship.
Okay. Otrek says, drastic? This is just gunpowder. If I wanted to be drastic, he points to a shelf of chemicals. Just.
This is Queta's first time in this room, so I think her jaw kind of drops in horror, knowing that's on the ship.
Probably true, and also the fact that it's on the lower end of the scale. Yeah, also worrying, sure. However, Otrek will say, it will only burn it. It only blows up if you are very, very smart. With that said, I'm going to start getting out a couple of reagents here. Queta is a caster of sorts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wheel.
She is. She doesn't have anything fire related, however.
Okay. But would you identify a spell as it was being cast?
I'm sure she could, see it. I can make an Arcana check if you want me to be certain.
That's up to...
You can just flavor it as, let us know what you're casting it. We can, we'll let Meta say whether or not Queta would recognize it.
Oh, we're definitely casting Glyph of Warding on the inside of the lid of the gunpowder keg.
I think that's pretty high level. I bet that's probably out of Queta's... You would recognize that there's a spell, that there is a rune being cast, but not necessarily what it would do, but you can assume it's some sort of a triggering rune. So, your Glyph of Warding, what is it triggering on, speaking of triggers?
Let me get to it.
While this is happening, I think Queta would get out some loose rope that she has and set up to begin casting snare. Probably around the barrel?
Okay. So, Otrek, as you are casting this spell and sort of doing this, some of the insight that you learned does begin to fill your mind. As you had learned last time, very much has a divine flavor to it. But the other pieces, this is a deity of war, judgment, and retribution.
Okay. Neat. Well, I have some war and retribution for it as well. So Glyph of Warding is very broad in what can trigger it. I can define it pretty much however I want. There's no limit here. So I am defining the ward as if the belt possesses or influences another person's mind, the ward goes off.
Okay. Cool. I like it.
And I will sit there and I will tell it out loud in every language I know, because I am patient. If you trespass against our minds, you will cease. I pat the keg of gunpowder.
Roll me an insight check.
I'm trying to intimidate a belt here, guys. I don't know where this game has gone, but we're in some interesting territory. Where is my insight? Oh, Lord. Oh, that's not good.
Never know.
Thanks for the blessing. Nat 20.
On a nat 20, you feel a sense of grudging respect from whatever echo exists within this belt.
All right, good. I will flick it one last time with a talon, and I will go check on my friend Kato. I will also tell Queta, just to be safe, don't stay in this room.
Queta would have finished casting Snare as all of that scene went on, and she would have said, "Believe me, that was one of the farthest ideas from my mind." And she kind of slips out, warily eyeing the barrel. Not sure which one she would be worried about more. The barrel, the reagents, the belt. There's a lot going on in this lab.
Yeah. So, let's go back up on deck where we have Baldir and Halran having returned to deck, and Duran as well. We're going to catch up with Duran and Biriana in a moment. I want to check in with Baldir and Halran as you all are up on deck, traveling further out into the sea. You see these creatures begin to breach through the water in front of you. They are these sort of majestic, magnificent, large, whale-like creatures that begin to swim alongside the ship. Huge. These do have more of the hammerhead shaped heads to them, and as you are swimming among them, they sort of seem to be surfacing up from below, and they are, like I said, big, almost probably 3/4 the size of the ship itself, as they begin to sort of, as a pod, travel with you northward.
I think probably seeing these grand creatures emerge shake Baldir from his uneasiness and his battle with his own kind of mental anguish right now. I think it'll kind of jar him loose before he looks around a bit. Just seeing if anyone noticed, his kind of demeanor. And as he's used to doing, he becomes the showman once again. And I think he very loudly very vividly looks to his left and his right, gestures to these creatures, and loudly declares, "Oh, yes, my friends, your old pal Baldir has returned to see you once again." Just calling out to them, knowing they probably don't understand or care, but it brings him a little bit of joy.
And they are like old friends. You did experience these leviathans in your journey along the way. Only one along your way out in the deep sea, from a distance, never this close. But as you are there, sort of being Baldir up on the front,
Sure.
Halran, back up on deck, Duran as well towards the back. You are starting to see these emerge, and Halran, from up in the crow's nest, as you sort of look down, as you see these and see the size of these begin to emerge, from your vantage point, you realize that these ones that have just surfaced are the young, or the juveniles. As you see larger shadows emerging up from the depths, apparently coming up after deep diving down into the darkness. One as big as the ship, twice as big as the ship, 3 times as big as the ship, beginning to emerge alongside of you. There begins to be this uneasiness. They don't seem to be violent, but just a stray move of a creature this size could be devastating. These leviathans from the deep.
I will give Ollie the little mental ping and tell him everyone needs to brace, and go immediately down the rigging and looking for Bariana and everybody who has anything to do with the sails to slow us down, maybe let them get a little ahead of us or something like that, so that when they do finally breach, it's not an accidental capsize.
Yep, as you see them starting to come up from the depths, you come running down, you bump into Duran there. Baldir, you now can start seeing some of the about the same size of the ship. They do seem to be paying attention to you, but you don't realize that even the one now that's come up sort of off to the port, that's about the same length of the ship, is in fact just one of, again, not the largest yet to come. Duran, you see Halran come charging up to you and Biriana, and pointing out, I guess, to the ocean.
These are the small ones. We need to pull back.
Biriana screams out, "Trim the sails!"
I don't know that Duran would really react. Maybe that's surprising, maybe it's not. But in the grand scheme of things, these giant sea creatures are not a priority to him right now.
Okay. So as you slow down, you see there, Baldir in front of you. The largest of these sort of comes up in front of you, just up out of the water. This giant breaching leviathan, twice the size of the ship, spray coming off of you, covering you in an ocean spray. It does both magnificent and terrifying. As it splashes down, the entire ship makes a huge roll over the waves that down below, certainly Queda, Otrek, and Kato would be able to feel. You see Fitz in the room sort of was tending to, what was that? And sort of starts to leap towards the wardrobe. Out your window, Kuma, you would see this massive creature.
Kato, honestly, he's gonna notice it, but he's miles away right now. It's probably the first time that he hasn't like jumped at the opportunity to scribble down some notes or whatever else. He's a little pulled out of the joy of the moment. He's a little too worried about Otrek and a little too fearful at the moment.
Okay. I'd say at this point, Otrek's probably made it into the room, so to come check on you. So as the ship lurches, I think Otrek would pick up that this is not normal for Kato.
Yeah. This is shock on both of our parts. I think Otrek would actually just kind of sit down heavily beside Kato and just kind of drape an arm around his buddy and just be like, I'm sorry.
I know that you did not mean it. I apologize for leaving. Just because someone does something that they don't mean doesn't mean that it doesn't not hurt. And I just needed to step out for a moment. And I'm sorry that I wasn't there to support you further. But I felt like you had everything under control by that point.
Otrek kind of nods, stares off into the distance, kind of out the porthole, but not really looking at these giant leviathans. Mm-hmm. There are bigger things in this room to him than that.
Okay.
Queda would have to focus on, I think because they would all feel the lurching of the ship, Queda would have to focus on getting the ship adjusted to however it needs to be. But she would probably cast Unseen Servant to tend to Kato and make sure that he is all right, and just to report back if anything really bad happens.
Gotcha. So you leave behind your Unseen Servant and then run up on deck, where you can see now this third largest one, this one almost 3 times the size of the ship, has surfaced beside the ship and is sort of trailing along you. You see an eye almost, as big as a car wheel, look out from the far edge of this this sort of hammerhead structure that is its head, and kind of look up an eye Baldir and the ship and sort of see what's going on before then sort of rolling, and you see the whole pod of these all kind of roll, and just these giant tails sort of come up as they then begin to dive back down deeper into the depths. You sail forward a little bit further. About 10 minutes go by, and you see a huge sort of splash in the water up in front of you, something breaching again. Probably about half the size of the ship. And as you come up on it, floating there in the water, is the head of one of these leviathans, and only the head. It's all that's left The rest of it, you can see, has been sheared off. The Leviathan, 3 times the size of your ship, bitten in two. Its head, the only piece remaining, floating on the water. Duran, in the back of the ship. You feel hunger and taste blood in your mouth. A scheming intellect, almost like something toying with its food. And it is getting closer. That is where we will take our break. Hope you all will join it. We'll be back in about 5 minutes, folks. Hope you all are enjoying our story as we are getting into the fun stuff now. We will be back in about 5 minutes to continue on with our story. See y'all soon. And we are back, folks, as our ship sailing in unfamiliar waters. The beauty of the Cerulean Sea having just surrounded them, the majesty of these leviathans that call this sea their home, these huge whale-like hammerhead creatures rolling through the surf, some of their juveniles almost as big as the ship, the largest ones 3 times the size, almost 600 feet long, so blue whale sized, if not larger. And after they sort of greeted the ship and dived back down into the depths, from below, one of the largest's head surfaces through the water, but only the head. The rest of it having been consumed, bitten in half by some other predator. Up on deck, the wind dies. All of the sails just fall limp, and the ship begins to coast. And then to a stop. This giant Leviathan head bobbing in the water about 30 feet off the starboard side. As you stand there, down below especially, you hear thunk, thunk, thunk. You hear things bumping against the bottom of the ship. Up above, another Leviathan head, another Leviathan head, another one, as some of the smaller ones' heads come to the surface. Until you're floating, surrounded by what just moments ago was this pod of majestic, beautiful creatures. Just carnage. Their heads floating like emptied barrels around the ship, now dead in the water. What's everyone up to? Viriana looks to Duran. You had something to say?
I need to know right now what bargain you made that brought us here.
With Jin Sarat.
Yes.
He sensed that a primordial had passed away. I'm here to collect its soul scale for the Shimmering Grove. That is all. So it can be planted, made into one of the trees of the grove. Why? Duran, why are you here? Thump, another head bumps up and floats. That taste, that irony taste of blood, fills your mouth again.
I am here because I believe I am supposed to be here. I don't have a concrete answer for you.
As this this tete-a-tete is occurring, what's everyone else up to? Out your big sort of picture window, Kato, if you glance, I know the two of you are sort of locked in each other's eyes, you would see the sea beginning to fill with the viscera and carnage like thrown away heads from a fishmonger's table.
As Kato eventually passes a glance outside, having, kind of recognized that there were a bunch of splashing a little bit earlier. There's the thuds in the bottom of the, just the thudding around of the ship, and then the kind of almost quiet on the outside because there's no more splashing as these heads starting to resurface and the waters are filling with chum. It's at this point he's going to realize something's kind of wrong. He will pat Otrek on the shoulder. I'm sorry, old friend, but I believe we might have to table this. I believe there's something amiss. And he's going to point to the now red, ocean around them.
Yeah, and definitely Otrek, with his artificer's background, would have felt the ship has stopped moving.
That is not good. That is not good. I'm really going to regret where I put that gunpowder. I could probably use it now.
There is just the tiniest smidge of something wrong. Perhaps, hopefully just a thimbleful. But we should check. And he's going to shakily stand and almost like clench his fists for his own resolve before starting to move to the door to head up deck. And he'll hold the door open for Otrek if he follows.
Otrek will definitely follow. How? No, I'm not even going to ask. Otrek's feeling really, really protective right now. And this is looking a little bit tense. There's a lot of blood in the water. Otrek, being a marine reptile, knows that's not a good sign. We're going to go ahead and use my second third level spell.
Okay. What you casting?
We are casting. Let me get down to it real quick. Sorry. It's one of my always available. I just want to make sure I'm correct that it's third level. We're going for ward. Yeah, we're going for warding bond on our buddy.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, that's just second level. Hell yeah!
Oh wow, there you go.
All right. While you are within 60 feet of me for the next hour, you get a +1 to your AC, +1 to your saving throws, and you have resistance to all damage. Also, anytime you take damage, I take the same amount.
Okay. So is it
What's
half?
that?
It's half between you.
It's
You both take the same amount.
so say Kato is hit with an attack that would normally do 40 damage.
Yeah.
Kato takes 20. I take 20.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's split. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. But that also puts Kato's AC at ha and funny.
Yes. Baldir, Halran.
Yeah, so...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Bird. Halran is quite upset seeing all these heads float up, right? Like the wanton slaughter is appalling. So he will rush to the front, where I assume he finds Baldir, but at this point he's going past that to the very bow of the ship to cast Speak with Animals on himself, and then to simply...
Of all things, we lost you. Audio-wise.
Really?
Oh,
Now you're back.
now you're back. Yeah, no, just for a second. Maybe it was just a blip. So you
Okay,
call that
hopefully, yeah.
you cast. We just didn't. hear you.
Cast Speak with Animals on myself and call out to see if there's anyone left from the pod.
Oh, okay. You call out. There is no answer. Baldir.
I think he'll see his friend Halron run past him in the look of concern, and he will grab that staff, that charred piece of mast left over from his raft, and he'll brandish it and hold it up and just bang it against the deck of the ship, and a little surge of lightning kind of courses through it, And he will just narrow his gaze and look side to side and basically be ready to lash out the second he or any of the crew spots what could be responsible for this.
Okay.
If Howrun runs over to the side, like kind of frantically, I think Duran would come up beside him and like pull him back a little bit and say, "You do not want to enter those waters."
Do you know what did this?
And he will turn around.
And walk away, or?
Yeah, right towards Bariana.
Well, I'll follow.
Okay.
Sorry, Jay.
No, good. That's fine. As you are walking down the length of the ship over to the port side where that first head appeared, you begin to see a churning in the water. Baldir up there towards the front, so a little bit of a higher view, you can see a shadow moving up through the water. The darkness of it.
Just want to go ahead and say Baldir will make kind of a huff. Something is coming. And he will take his staff and point it towards this thing, grip the staff with two hands, and the staff begins to pulsate, and that lightning energy surrounds it stronger and stronger, and you can see it vibrating in his hands as he's now just laser focused, the staff firmly aimed at this shadow, just waiting for confirmation.
Yep. I saw your hand raised up there. Meta, what's going on with Queta?
Yeah. So, Queta is kind of slipped behind everyone at this point, just trying to get a glimpse of what's going on, see if there's any like vantage points she could take. So she is standing at the ready with her crossbow, and yet, as something she didn't think she would be doing ever, one of her eyes is also carefully eyeing the way back down and thinking about what could possibly happen if because she knows that there's like a huge threat coming up. She thinks we do have a couple of different exit plans. Once again, we have the lifeboat. She thinks about the lifeboat, she thinks about the swan boat, and then she thinks about the belt again and considers.
Ooh, interesting.
I don't know what it does, but
God, love a blind attunement. Gotta love a blind attunement.
And she just grips her crossbow even harder as I guess she waits. I just wanted to throw that all out there.
Cool. Well, let's go around because I'm seeing lots of hands go up. So I saw Saul. Otrek, what's up? You all are making your way up to deck.
Down to no. Thank you. I just want to say, like, on the belt thing, like, that's forcible possession and manipulation, not voluntary. So, technically, Kata could throw it on. I'm not. Oh, I'm really worried about that in the future, though. Like, that's got some consequences I didn't think about. I really should have consulted Kato. No, we're gonna rush it. We're gonna rush up on deck and we're gonna call Scott to me. Scott is going to be. Yeah, Scott's gonna be sticking to me for now, so I can get that defensive bonus. I trust Kato to stay solid with everything going on right now in Warding Bond. We're also going to whip out the pistol, which, I mean, you'll see Otrek just grab it out of the chest bandolier and, like, raise it, and then look at the water and look at the size of these heads that are almost as big as the boat, and look at the pistol, look back out, and it just, the enormity of the situation certainly hits. And that'll be what I do.
you all do see the rest of the crew seems to be coming up to sort of battle positions, getting Lars getting ready behind the ballistas, others sort of taking up position to in case we're about to whatever is about to emerge. As you look over to the side, Baldir having pointed out this shadow, you see it is a shadow almost the same size as the boat itself, as it begins to move up through the depths and getting higher. And as you look over to the port side, you see these heads sort of all but part, opening up a hole in the water as something begins to emerge. At first you think it is another Leviathan. It is the body of a Leviathan coming forward, and as it reaches up, these horns come above, and then it's just the eye, and you realize you are looking at just the head of this huge bronze dragon. It looks at the deck across all of you. An eye peers down, finds Duron. I see. You have heeded my summons and brought me the vessels I require. With that, you see tendrils of water launch out of the ocean and immediately encapsulate every member of the crew. Every member of the party and the crew in bubbles of water, spheres of floating water. You can breathe, but it is not comfortable. It is, many of you, being sailors, have been underneath of the effects of a water-breathing spell. And there's a comfort that comes in that. This is not that same comfort. It is as though each breath that you take is at the whim or will of this primordial dragon, probably 5, maybe 10 times larger than even Shimandala was. It pulls Duron within the sphere that you are in up higher. Looks at you. You've done well. But you see it grimace in anger at you. You dare bring one of its playthings here to my domain after what that worm has done. And you see Otrek's bubble get pulled in close to this dragon's, Shimandala's, face. It reeks of that treacherous green swamp worm and their aberrant experimentation with magic. It begins to close its talons, and you see that bubble beginning to shrink and crush in on Otrek. That worm's brood, spying and stealing and corrupting. You all can act.
How far away am I from Otrek right now?
You are suspended in a bubble of water. I would say, we'll call it 30 feet for ease.
Excellent. I am going... I'm going to look back slightly over the crew that I've kind of always been on the outside, looking in, linger looking over at Baldir for a minute. And I am going to Misty Step into his bubble. If I can.
Okay. You can certainly try. Let's get
dear.
what everyone else is doing.
As I'm the guy getting crushed, can I say that I'm going to cast Shield as a reaction? Give myself a little bit more AC? Give
Sure.
myself something to kind of hold that force back?
I will allow it. So let's chalk that one up. Again, in the simultaneousness of action, I see Kuma with their hand up. What's up with Kato?
Can I cast a Shield of Fate?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yourself, else? Actually, that's self.
Is it self only?
Or is it touch? Because you are not touching anybody.
It is surrounds a creature of choice within range, 60 feet.
Perfect. So yeah, who are you casting it on?
Okay.
Okay.
So a bonus 2 for your AC as well.
Gotcha. Halram.
I want to cast Control Water to attempt to part the bottom of the bubble that's holding Otrak. Failing that, simply to dissipate some of the crushing force.
Okay.
It's actually perfect because Baldir was going to try to do the same thing.
Perfect.
So I think like almost a moment of like Haran and Baldir's eyes like meeting and just trying to will our force in there.
Gueda.
Sorry, I'm looking up something really, really quick. Need to fact check something here. So, we are we all like floating in
You
midair?
are floating in midair, suspended in a bubble of water.
Okay. It's kind of mechanically in my mind it's kind of a vain act, but Queda's gonna rifle through her bag for her rope of climbing and try and direct the other end toward, if she sees that like the bubble is starting to open up, she's gonna try and direct the one end of it to go towards some part of Otrek to hold him in place.
Okay. Biriana is going to throw inspiration towards Otrek for any type of save that that might be needed. As you all sort of spring to action towards your friend. Duran, you begin to pull forth on your magic, and Shimandala's eye immediately focuses back over on you. You dare? You dare impede me? Your magic dissipates. All of it.
Thinking very hard about what I'm going to say.
This is probably pretty important.
A little bit.
If you'd like to think for a moment, we can move on to whatever's happening with the
somebody
others.
else go. Right, fill
So,
the space.
Baldir and Halran drawing on your druidic and sorceress natures, which is based very differently. While arcane is also has very different flavor to it, especially as being a storm sorcerer. You reach out. Both of you, if you'll throw me an Arcana check, let's see, especially as you're concentrating on the same thing, almost reading each other's mind, that same being crew members for the last 100 years, almost those unspoken actions that lend to cooperation.
Would you let me roll wisdom instead of arcana?
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely, certainly. Because of our nature is fine as well as since you are a druidic caster.
Nice.
Well, on that rolling the 2, at least it wasn't a natural one. Actually, I was looking for a 30 total, so that'll work. Between the two of you all, you do see the bottom of Otrek's bubble. Instead of being crushing, it's sort of like starting to bulge out. So it's sort of, you are definitely affecting against this. The divine magic of Cato, you do see encases itself. Otrek, your magic works. Shield, though, is a little bit trickier. So
I'm just trying for anything I got. As a reaction. Crush, let's throw shield.
I would say it. As a reaction, absolutely, you throw shield. But it does not seem to be effective against this crushing. Your rope does actually still work and begin to snake out that way. Let's tune back into a battle of wills happening between a warlock and their patron.
Yeah. I think Duron is gonna say to Shimandala, I did not bring them here just so they could die. And I would like to attempt to forcibly pull my power back from him.
I'll let you do a willpower check. So that is charisma. So do me a charisma willpower check.
Okay. I'm assuming that nothing I have works right now, so I'm just gonna roll it. That's not bad. That's a 22.
Let me see. I might have something for you here. Give me just a second.
Same. I might have a reaction for that.
Shit, I used my reaction. Never mind. Can't do it.
You can. I'll do wheel. You can do a D6 extra.
That brings me to a 28.
Okay, I'm just looking up my old stat sheet here.
And actually, I have another question. Then, that talisman that I have, can I draw anything from it? It's.
What are you wanting to do?
I want to use my it's actually probably not going to work. It's the Pact of the Talisman. It would let me add another D4 on top of this. Probably not.
Yeah, that's from your patron.
Yep.
So, let's see how this is. So it looks like, first their charisma against yours. Let's see if they'll even listen. That's a 23. What was your roll? Total?
A total 28.
28. The crushing continues, but it doesn't seem to be as forceful. I need Otrek to make me a Constitution saving throw as you are beginning to be crushed. Woo! Nice. So you do save.
Come at me on my strong saves? Okay.
Yeah, you know. That'll only be halved, so that's only 10 points of bludgeoning damage as...
Why halved?
Because you made the save.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll take it.
Yeah.
10?
Yep. 10 points of bludgeoning damage. It you recognize that this is not the full force of this creature.
I have plans.
It looks... Shimandala looks at you. They look at you, Duran. What makes you think I would kill all of them here? Do you not think I did not summon you for a reason? Did I not say these are vessels that I needed? But not this traitorous thing.
You would hold his origin against him without him having any part to play in it. It is not his fault that he is what he is.
He is the creation of that steals from me, that bars me from what is rightfully mine, that corrupts my waters.
And yet, he is his own person.
It looks to Otrek. You tell me that you do not have their eye upon you. I can see that it watches you even now. Don't lie to me, thing.
Otrek will let out a sibilant, hissing laugh. Otrek knows he's going to die, but he's making the most of it. You and your kind watch me. I pay no heed to you, serpent. I am the first of all that are from here. I am from this land. You can never take that. You are just a thing that watches me.
I will let you do whether you would like to do persuasion or intimidation. Either one. As you face down.
It's same either way, but I feel like this is more intimidation.
Okay.
Dirty 20.
On a dirty 20. Shimandala looks at you. Do me a wisdom saving throw as you feel a probing in your mind.
All right. I hope it's not the belt.
Yeah.
Oh, that's no good. That's no good.
Okay. Well, it just means your mind becomes wide open to Shimandala as it looks this speech from this creature, this speck of a life force, made enough of an impression that they decided to look for themselves. And you feel your mind, your memories, your defiance to the verdant shadow being replayed in your mind. You defy the worm. They hate you. You left them. little wondrous creature, you. And you feel the crushing begin to subside. Looks back to Duron. Perhaps you have not chosen as foolishly as I thought. You feel your magic flow back to you.
What do you want? I have been asking myself that question for decades.
But I've told you already.
You've told me what you want to do. You don't tell me why you want to do it or what your end goal is. Perhaps vessels are not necessary if they will act on your behest regardless.
They will act on my behest, or they will die, as you will. For you to know all that you want to know, that you think you should know, that you think you are entitled to and you deserve. Do you think you're the only one who serves me? Do you think you're special? You just happen to be the first who's made it this far. As far as why, I thought it was quite clear. I need you to retrieve my shard for me. That worm's treachery has barred it from me. And I need you and these vessels to get it back. Let's chat with the other players. See what's going on in their heads as this is going down. If there's anything, we don't. If there, it just I didn't want to feel like you weren't a part
I am
of this.
happy to take this back seat and watch this unfold because this is delightful and I have no horse in this race yet.
Also, it doesn't seem like the place to interrupt and say, hi, I'm Baldir. So I'm just going to go ahead and sit this one out as well for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Just before we cut completely back to that, if this is water, can we we're surrounded by bubbles of water, correct?
You are, for all intents and purposes, you are underwater in a little bubble fishbowl. You are able to breathe, but it is, as I said, not like water breathing spells been cast on you. It is a uncomfortable sustainment of your life, not much more.
Okay. Is there a way that Queta could try to stealthily worm and swim her way out? Just towards the ocean or preferably to the deck of the ship?
You are sort of floating in air in a bubble of water. I normally would say you can certainly try, but in this case, you are pretty much in a zero gravity situation inside a bubble of water that kind of moves with your motions.
All right.
And you're kind of in a clear bottle of water, standing right in front of a dragon's face. The stealth part would be a little difficult too.
Okay. Yeah. Quato will just try and just whisper to her rope of climbing to redirect itself toward the deck of the ship.
Now that is interesting because it is magically tethered to the other side. It would give you. I mean, I would actually say if you wanted to try to climb your rope of climbing out of the bubble of water while this is going on, I'd let you give that a try. Swimming out of it, no. Climbing out of it using your rope of climbing, like to climb down the rope out of the bubble, I'd allow that. I'd like to see those rolls.
Yeah, she'll give it a try. It's a
Would a combined effort of control water help?
I guess the real question is, are you still focused on? I mean, first thing, give me a stealth roll because you're trying to do this stealthily. Trying to sort of do that little worm or inch your way out of it without notice, and then we'll see whether or not you would have noticed to be able to lend a hand.
This is me doing the stealth roll.
Yes,
right?
Queta doing a stealth roll, please. Pay no attention.
21.
You know, Queta has used her entire life to not be noticed. So I'm going to say at a 21, you aren't aware enough of what's happening as Queta's sort of toward the back of the group of you all floating there and the rest of the crew and has a little bit of cover to be able to start slowly, stealthily climbing your rope of climbing down out of your bubble. I say it's going to take a little bit of time to not draw any attention to yourself as the rest of this is going on.
All right. And then it's an athletics check to climb out?
Yep.
All right. I have this at advantage because of rope climbing.
13.
Yikes.
It's slow going. It's odd, but you make a little bit of progress.
All right. Carry on.
Okay. Halran.
I do maintain concentration on the spell, just
Okay.
for...
So. Looking at Duron. Back where we were.
I have done as you've asked for decades. These are the first to come this far. They will not follow these people of Port Sheridan. Will not follow if Beriana does not return. You know this, since none would travel further than her. Please, in light of all of my service, do not take this crew, this family that I have never had from me.
You act as though everyone in Port Sheridan is dead or not reproducing like the vermin they are. You arrived in a blink. What's a century to a dragon?
Countless days of loneliness.
You think me lonely? That your company is some great joy? That my others don't also keep me company?
Then take the shard back yourself.
So you say you will not do as I ask?
You're not asking. You are demanding.
Well, my demand is with reward.
It's still a demand.
What say the rest of you? Your lives were forfeit when you threw in with this one. I'm not without gifts for those who are my friends. The rest of you feel like a wave wash over you. Don't go hitting any buttons yet, as you all feel yourselves level up. I can gift to those who assist me. Duran, you do not feel yourself level up.
What would you have us do? Duran has spoken little of you or your demand, as he calls it.
The green worm sent his brood here, vying for what was mine, my piece of the sky. They skulked in their treachery and took it from me and put it where I cannot go. They corrupted the waters. They corrupted my domain. I need vessels such as yours to venture into that place, that corrupted reef, made from their bones that I slew them on. And bring me back what is mine.
Otrek perks up a little bit.
He's still looking at you. You are right there, you know, basically Cheeto distance away from his mouth.
He'll kind of wave at the entire tableau of what's going on with us drowning in spheres slowly. And he'll say, all of this to spite the verdant shadow?
Spite is useful, and also to put them in their place. That worm invaded my space, my domain.
I don't care. All you had to do was say that it would anger them. What are we stealing from who?
It is not stealing as much as retrieving but I cannot retrieve myself. It is here in these waters still, but blocked from me. I need those of your sort of snarls, stature, to go into these places I cannot get to.
Otrek's smarter than this. He's smarter than me.
Don't worry, Shimandala's meaner than me, so...
That's fine, that's fine. Above table, because this is kind of an above table thing.
That's cool.
Otrek's going to throw in with the dragon, unless, like, the table doesn't want that. Anything that's going to tick off the Verdant Shadow, he's down for. So, like, this just came to a point where he realized, oh, wait, this is a conflict between the dragon that birthed me, which I don't really like, and this dragon, which wants to kill me because I'm part of that. But if I work for this one, it's going to tick off my progenitor, and he's about that. But he can't make the call for everyone, and he also realizes that he's not the shrewdest negotiator. I want to tag in someone who can... I know who to tag in. I'm a genius. Friend Baldir, I need you to speak for me. For... He gestures between his sausagey self and this absolute biblical monster of a dragon. It says, there is some animosity here.
Oh God, am I... I just got this flashback of the damn bird.
We're gonna get Shimandala high. It worked last time. Why go with a losing strategy? We're doing well here, guys.
In the middle of all this, has Quita been caught yet? Is she still able to just like inch through the...
You're still inching. I want to tune in with where... I've just got to see where this goes with Baldir.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. So, Baldir will look at Otrek, glance back at Duran before turning the dragon's gaze, and simply say, "Need. You keep saying you need us. As far as I can see, there is no much further discussion needed. We are here now. You've heard. We are not necessarily against your whims and wishes. So I think at this point, you're the one who needs to decide. Shall you wait another hundreds of years for proper vessels? Or will you allow us to move freely and continue that which we were already set upon course for?
Shimandala looks at Baldir. I see your mind. And he looks around, and all of your motivation, which does work to my benefit, but not the outcome that you seek. He pulls Biriana close. As you wish to steal what is mine, not return it to me. looks around him. Do you deny that you do not wish to take this that is mine? Are you any better than the green worm?
Does it matter what our intentions are? Look at us now and where we are. Should we happen to work against you when this is all said and done, what stops this from happening again? I don't know what you fear. I don't know why something as grand and powerful as you still stoops to tactics like this. Regardless of what you think may happen, if it is truly your will, then make it so. These scare tactics, these threats and demands, they're unbecoming of someone such as yourself.
Do me a persuasion check or intimidation. I don't know. I think it sounds much more persuading to me.
Yeah, and Baldier's about the least intimidating guy for the most part.
I have something for this, I think.
Okay.
Let me double check, because I'm always a little bit sketchy on these that do the boosts to things.
Provided a round has gone by, I can give you a D6.
That'd be great, man, because I really don't know.
I was gonna say
what the hell I'm doing.
Biriana's passing around inspirations during this too, so you can have bardic inspiration from Biriana.
That was also performance, not persuasion.
Oh, that was
I don't
performance.
know.
I'm so sorry. I misclicked. So it would have been additional 2 to that. So it would have been a 17 base roll.
Okay, 17,
Flash of Genius, add 4.
21.
21,
Power on the 5.
And you rolled a 5. Yep.
26.
26. Roll a d10.
27.
27.
Oh, robbed.
27 though is not bad. I kind of like the fact that this was part. It was the party's doing to get us above 25. With this speech comes a flash of insight to Baldir. You've traveled many, many places with many, many people of many, many stations in life. And you have dealt with the children of kings, of merchant princes, of the powerful. And you get the distinct impression, a little bit of grudging shame of a teenager who's been chided in front of their friends from Shimandala. As someone who is maybe not quite come into their own yet, and is aspiring and not quite figured out how to inspire and to aspire to what they want to be. But with that doesn't come a little bit of a, as you've experienced before as well, a little bit of resentment. Make it happen, you say. Fine. Let's make this happen. And you see rise up in front of Shimandala this huge tidal wave that then just pushes the ship and all of you sideways, rushing away from Shimandala. I'll keep this one as collateral. And as you rush away, you see the bubble holding Fitz hovering there with Shimandala as you guys are pushed leagues southward away from this dragon. I'll keep him safe as long as you bring my shard back to me. And he's starting to fade out of sight as you are rushing sideways, basically getting knocked sideways faster than even when you flew southward away from Shimandala. You do have a moment in that as that tidal wave is forming and pushing you away, if you would like to try to act.
Let me double check and see what I have real quick.
Well, I guess since we're being pushed away full force, Queta doesn't need to hide what she's doing anymore. So she's going to be like holding on really hard, just trying to stabilize herself in that bubble, in that wave.
Yeah, the bubbles basically break. You guys crash down onto the ship as the ship is being... If you ever remember the Star Trek episode, I think it was Q or the Borg or someone who basically pushed the Enterprise away like sideways through warp. It's kind of that's what's going on here.
And I blow a calm emotions on Fitz
Yes.
as we are being pushed away, just to try to help him
Cope.
think clearly
Okay.
and calm down.
Yes, absolutely. I will allow that. Sir! You sort of hear him as he's pushing away, and you do see the calmness go over him. Anything else as...
Yeah, in the same vein, I'd like to use a water breathing targeting Fitz, the six of us, Bariana, Ollie,
Okay,
Lars.
cool. Absolutely.
If there's anybody else, he doesn't need to target that on me if anybody else actually needs it.
Right.
Yeah. We'll say
Uh,
you're able to cover the crew. Between yourself and Bariana, yeah.
I'm probably going to regret this later on, but I can't let Fitz go out like that. Scott, protect him.
Okay. Yeah, because Scott doesn't have any range, does he?
I just double checked.
Okay. So you just sort of hear a plop as goes over the side. Not necessarily on a Fitz, but yeah, Scott is on task, an automaton to track and keep an eye on Fitz. And as you guys are pushed away to the south, Duron, your sphere begins to glow and come to life and begin to raise off your chest and pull southward like a compass pointing the way towards its other piece.
It's like a Pirates of the Dark Water thing.
Very much so. And as the ship goes to the south, finally comes to rest, just sort of floating, bobbing in the water. The breeze picks back up. And everyone sort of looks around each other. And that is where we're going to end our session for the evening.
Holy
I know it's to end on. Wow.
Yeah.
Bye.
So,
Woo!
on that note, all of you, including Duron, do level up from
What?
the gift of Shimandala.
Wow.
Oh man, I don't know what to do with myself.
And let's go around real quick and meet our cast. If y'all, unless you need to take a breather real quick. Sol.
Yeah, my name is Soul. I go by Soul's Rolls online. I do a little bit of blogging. I do health and wellness consultation. I do a little bit of game design, and I play Otrek, our lizard folk artificer.
Next up, Ace.
I am Ace of Sween, the not traitor, I swear, to the party. You can find me at Ace of Sween. Yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. Next up, we have Grant.
Hi, everyone. I'm Grant. Thanks so much for watching. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter as @Soclamon, which I'll just drop in the chat instead of trying to spell it.
Cool. Next up is Meta.
Hi everyone, I'm Metazoa. I play Queta, as you've seen. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Twitch as Metazoa54321. I just put a message in the chat as well. I stream sometimes. I play music. I write poetry. I do a couple of different things. I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants. I don't think that's the right application of that, but you know.
Sail by the seat of your pants?
There you go.
Something like that.
Next up, we have Bird.
Hey folks, I'm Bird vs. Plane. You can find me everywhere on the internet under that name. And negotiation did not go how I wanted it to. That's my bad. It's my bad fits. Sorry, boy.
And last but not least, Puma.
Hi, hello, yes. I am Kuma the Bronze, not nearly as mean as our Shamadala the Bronze here. You can find me everywhere at Kuma the Bronze, and I stream and shitpost online.
Nice. I am Tall Squall. I was your DM for the evening. You can find me all over the place as Tall Squall, and I hope you all enjoyed our story this evening. For those of you who didn't see my post on Twitter or tuned in a little bit late, we have greenlit a second season, as there's a lot of story to tell here. And we will be seeing you after the holiday break, and we'll let you know about the schedule for the season 2 of Last Voyage of the Whales Whiskers, as we got a little bit of a tale to tell. On that note, until next time, gather your friends together and tell a story, because that is what it is all about. Have a great evening, everyone. Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.